What is up guys, Deadset here. Today we'll talk about monk set dungeons. Mastery banner on my back, all the good stuff, let's go. I liked the clue provided for the Inna's Mantra dungeon. It was descriptive and evocative without being explicit or too obvious. The dungeon itself was fairly unremarkable though, I'm sorry to say. The task of grouping 10 monsters for 5 unleashes per pack is the only quote-unquote hard objective, and while pulling monsters along the narrow paths is somewhat skillful of an objective, nerfing my ability and item synergy to a level where the pets don't just obliterate the scarabs immediately certainly wasn't entertaining. I've said it before for other dungeons, but you're essentially punished for playing out your set correctly. Here, equipping the crudest boots increases your followers to basically an unmanageable flock of autonomous assassins, running readily ahead to ruin your objective. The no frozen task is a minor nuisance, more of a knowledge check about Epiphany or cubing ice climbers. An objective based around bindings of the lesser gods, like killing X number of enemies affected by Cyclone Strike, might be better suited for the dungeon, as it educates you about a new item that is an important part of the Inna playstyle. Following the example set by Inna, Raymond's clue is enigmatic and cool, without sinking into unsolvable territory. The dungeon is among, maybe even the, best I've played so far, though I will admit it plays to my preferences for set dungeons. Objectively, it does not teach you not to run out of dashing strike stacks, or the importance of integral attack speed passives like Alacrity or Seize the Initiative. What it does though is present you with a hectic, one-of-a-kind rush puzzle that dares you to go through the lengthy dungeon twice. First time, racing, and the second time, killing the enemies. It's also a robust knowledge check, encouraging you to explore speedrun staples like Ingium, Nemesis Bracers, and Krelm's Buff Belt. It also briefly introduces you to the benefits of dodge in the Monk arsenal, nudging you to avoid succubi projectiles through the likes of Mantra of Salvation Agility and the Guardian's Path. All around, I think it's a very solid dungeon design. More of these, please. As a final note, I suggest looking into the Succubi projectile, as it bugged me once and stunned me for several minutes. The Sunwukko set dungeon is also a very decent design, and I have only minor gripes with it. It does a decent job at introducing you to the playstyle basics, underlines the importance of sweep and wind maintenance for damage reduction with the help from Kyoshiro's Soul Belt, and the potential of the latter as a best-in-slot item. The dungeon also challenges you to push the speedrun limits, inviting you to use Ingium alongside Vengeful Wind, as well as Krelm's Buff Belt and the Werzekian Arm Guards in a destructible heavy environment. I did not care much for the decoy objective though. Similarly to the Archon Stacks objective from the Veer dungeon, it's something that should happen naturally and without a second thought. Its place would be better taken by a spender-consuming Sweeping Wind Stacks objective, teaching you a major mechanic of the set. Naturally, I vote for the Roundhouse Kick of LTK, as it has the wonderful new Rivera Dancer boots. To me, Juliana's set dungeon was by far the hardest of the 4, but I can't truthfully say that I enjoyed it for that. The skeletons here are cruelly uninterested in the hero, turning what could be a dynamic grouping objective into a Cyclone Strike slugfest. The brutal length of the map makes the reliance on a good density along the main paths all that more aggravating. The attempt in the video was achieved after far too many resets for a favorable spawn distribution. An item seemingly fit for the objective, Madstone, is rendered obsolete due to monster tuning, with 7-sided strike obliterating the skeletons before Exploding Palm could be applied. A missed opportunity for a class knowledge check here. There's no tasks to teach you the value of cooldown reduction, which I find bewildering. For example, 7-sided strike X number of times in the span of 10 seconds, let alone set minutiae like Mythic Rhythm or Assimilation damage buffs. Instead, we have a selective damage source objective, and I've shared what I think about these before. It doesn't change here. It's arbitrary and detached from actual set gameplay. The dungeon is awkwardly inconsistent with its treatment of fire damage as well. The knowledge check of cubing Star of Askaranth makes you immune to the fire grates and wall traps, but not the fiery breath of oppressors for some reason. Well, despite my disinterest in Ina's dungeon and suffering in Juliana's, I felt that the monk dungeons mostly hit the marks. A little tuning here and there, particularly for the aforementioned dungeons, could turn them into a great mix of teaching tool and a puzzle to solve, assuming that's the intent. I'll continue to follow the said dungeon development with great interest. I hope you enjoyed the video and look forward to the said dungeon review of the remaining Witch Doctor coming ASAP. Talk to me on Twitter and Facebook that I link below, and I'll see you guys next time.